Welcome to Parenting with a Splash of Jewcie. We're not parenting experts, just two intentional parents doing our best to raise kids that we don't want to escape from. We'll share what's working, what used to keep us stuck, and all the messy growth in between. I'm Jewell.
I'm Gracie, and this is your weekly splash of Jewcie.
What's going on, y'all? We're back with episode 3 of
Parenting with a Splash of Jewcie.
I should do an edit for that, but I'm not going to, so you're just going to see me go. As you can see, I've got some little toes right here. Nia is going to be joining us for this episode. If you watched our last one, we're in the same outfits because we're recording in the same day.
Back to
just
back.
For you guys. We're here for it. We're about it. Before we get into it, if you see something that you like, if you want to recommend a topic that we talk about, you've got questions, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can find me on Instagram. It's called Jewell on Purpose.
Raising with Gracie.
Raising with Gracie. Kind of like Raising Cane's, but a little bit better. A lot of it better. But yeah, if you found some value in it, hit the like. If you have questions, you found our stories cool, or there's something you can relate about, or want to tell your own story, leave it in the comments. Send us a DM on Instagram. We'd love to talk more. Or if you have an idea for something that you'd like us to talk more about, something you're going through as a parent, that's what we're here for, is to share value, support where we can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Last episode, we talked about our hospital birth experience, what that was like, going to an OBGYN, doing labor and delivery in the hospital, kind of following their schedule of things, how that should look like in our current medical system in the U.S. Baby number 2, Miss Nia, we decided to go with the home birth. We used a midwife, and we did a water birth, all natural, right here in the bathroom of our 3-bedroom home.
Yep. Such a different experience.
Yeah.
So, I was excited to have a midwife because I knew I was going to be getting a lot more support. We met our midwife, Justine, and super friendly lady.
Very personable.
Very personable. Like, she cared about us.
She listened.
Yes.
She answered our questions.
Very thorough. Took a lot of time to get on the same page about like what we wanted. And
one thing I want to mention that I think was very, very important was in the hospital, felt very routine. Showing up for your appointment, that same 5 to 10 minute visit with your doctor. How's everything going? Anything questions you have? This is what's next. Boom. All right, cool. We're out of here. With Justine, it was like there was another person. That I noted, like, I didn't feel like there was a robot in front of me. I felt like this is another person who lives an own life, because she shared her story with us, what got her into that, and that made it a lot easier, a lot smoother. I think really increased the trust that we had going into this very important process of pregnancy and childbirth.
Also, one big thing right off the bat was Justine talked to me about my prenatal vitamin, and she recommended one because the one that I wanted to take, she's like, oh no, this doesn't have choline in it, which is responsible for the health of your placenta, which was what they were concerned about with my first pregnancy with Sunny. And my first doctor with Sunny, he never asked me about my prenatal at all. So just something right there. Right away we were like, oh wow, this is crazy. I don't know if that's why he was small. I don't know. I think it's just because we're small people, because Nia ended up being pretty small too.
A whole 1 pound heavier.
She was 1 pound heavier, and I ate so much extra to like, because Justine also was like, just eat, girl, like you need to eat. Like, I was gaining weight steady, but like not a lot. I don't get very big, and so anyway.
Petite.
So yeah, we just have small babies, but
this baby was a lot more intentional. We decided, we had the conversation, we sat down and talked about it. are we ready for another baby? Should we wait? Are we ready for this? And it was like, you know what? Like, if we found out we were pregnant tomorrow, like, we'd be ready to run with it. And so that at that point, we just stopped trying to not have a baby. For anyone who knows how babies are made, you know what it means.
Okay,
so let's. I want to start with a question for you because it still is Mother's Day when this is being recorded, but I just want to ask you.
Every day's Mother's Day.
What was different with this second pregnancy where you had the confidence now to say, I want to have this baby at home. I can do this.
Well, I knew already what labor was like. That's me. And I knew that I could do it unmedicated, and so I was like, and I had educated myself a lot more just on our system and the way that it works. I had the experience of a hospital birth and the things that I did not like we talked about before. And so this time I was like, I know what I do want, and everything that I wanted came from a home birth, basically. I really, really wanted, I especially emphasized to my midwife, like, I really want this lactation support. This is something that is really important to me because I didn't have it with my first baby, and I didn't like how they scared us with my first baby about Sunny's weight, and so she gave me lots of books, lots of resources. I read, I think it's like
right away, first appointment.
I think it's like the 7 Natural Laws of Breastfeeding or something. That book helped me. I took notes on it because I was like, dude, it was really important to me to breastfeed.
For one, to avoid pumping, because pumping was made it very difficult to navigate those first few months. And then for 2, because that's the way we're designed. Designed, like, that's by design, mothers should breastfeed their babies. There's no argument
no
around
that. Like, your body naturally does that, and
there's there's an exception to the rule. There's some women where there is the exception, but let's leave the exception where it's at.
Yeah.
The vast majority of women should be able to breastfeed their babies, and our current medical system will try and tell you otherwise.
I also looked at a lot of my fears about breastfeeding and, like, the quiet little voice in the back of your mind that you hear. Like, I really looked at what that voice was saying to me, because that's something that we do with all of our thoughts like that. It's very important that you look at what are you saying to yourself.
Yeah. And
a lot of those things were like, it was this fear, like, is there something wrong with me? Like, is there something wrong with my body or, like, my boobs? That, like, why can I not breastfeed? Like, and it was, so I really looked at that because there's not anything wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, and those are just...
Because she made milk, like, or someone's able to drink milk, so it's like, there's no reason why, if we had the proper support, education, persistence, discipline, whatever you want to call it, that she could not have breastfed only with our son.
And so, my midwife really gave me those resources. She supported me with that. She encouraged me. She's like, this is going to be so different. You're going to be good. This is going to be fine. I'm going to support you. I really think you're going to have a healthy baby. You're going to be able to breastfeed. Like, she was so supportive. So supportive. That made the world of a difference. It really does. It's like what people are telling you, what you're believing, that it makes the difference. It does. And so I had a healthy pregnancy this time. There was a couple things, like I had really uncomfortable varicose veins.
Another thing was the iron. She had really low iron to the point of getting a transfusion.
Yes, which in the regular medical system, they wouldn't have like approved that kind of, like they wouldn't have said it's necessary, but my midwife knew a little more about that,
and she also did a lot more like she knew Grace's circumstance very intimately. It was like our doctor did the rundown, he had her charts, but like, you know, it was never, I don't know, I just don't feel like they were like constantly doing it. It was like that was an initial thing, and then it was like, you're good.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you watched the last episode, one of the things that happened, if you didn't watch it, I mean, it was just like out of the blue at the end of her pregnancy, they're like, there's something wrong with your child, they're really small. It was not something, because we had been doing the tests, the checkups, and somehow they had missed it until this very late point, and then it was like, we need to induce you. Which, if you want to hear more about her hospital story, the hospital experience, medical experience, go watch episode 2. We're not going to get back into that right now.
Yeah. But Justine, it was like the whole time she was monitoring all these things, and so, yeah, my iron got pretty low. I was like having symptoms from it, so I got a blood transfusion, or iron transfusion, and I had to pay for it because our medical system, it's like I'm like right on the cusp. Most women are anemic. If you're a woman, you probably know that. Like your iron's probably always like teetering, and it really should be higher. So we got the iron infusion.
But the insurance, they wouldn't deem it medically necessary.
Yeah. So we paid for it because it was important to us. I do feel like it made a very big difference. And then
one of the other things was the itchiness. I don't remember what that thing is called, but
I didn't have it though. Cholestasis.
Yeah, but that's one thing, is that with the midwife, Grace had her phone number. She could text her, like she literally, I have a concern about this. She would text her midwife.
Yes.
We were drinking coffee with ashwagandha,
yes.
Right? Because that's the kind of coffee we drank. Text her midwife. One day, it was just one day, she's like, hey, is it okay for me to be drinking this coffee, by the way? And she's like, oh, no. Like, ashwagandha has, in the past, been used to abort babies. Like, that's not something that... But having the access to be able to just text her any day of the week, any time of the day, and say, I have a question about this, I have a concern about this, and maybe she didn't text back right away, but to have that direct line of communication, whereas at a hospital, it's like, if I have a question, I'm going to have to go in, I'm going to have to sit down or schedule an appointment. Like, I can't even talk to the receptionist about it because she wouldn't be qualified, you know?
Yeah.
So that was, like, she felt like she was having something to do with the itchiness, where your liver is, like, pushing too much bile or something that can be very dangerous for your baby. Hey, I have a concern about this. Can we get it tested? Boom. That week, we got her test done. She didn't have it, thank goodness. But, yeah, that was instrumental in a healthy pregnancy, a good state of mind, and ultimately a healthy baby as well.
Yep. And then, like, towards the end of my pregnancy, we got everything ready for the home birth, which I'm like a super prepared person.
Yes.
And so I like had it already like way before necessary.
We had the tub just sitting in our room.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know how it's gonna go. Like, I've never done this before.
And do you have the website where you got the tub from?
Oh yeah, it was called like La Bassine.
We can like link that down below in the comments, so that that way, if you are going through this and you want to do a home birth, you can go check that out. We're not getting paid to do that or anything, but they had a good product and at a fair price.
Yep. Yeah. And then my birth with Nia. So I want to talk about this, because I love sharing this. It was so different than my hospital birth. I started like having contractions. I knew that I was going into labor. So Jewell came home from work. He got off work at like 8 that night. And I had been like going through my contractions with Sunny, and then like it started getting kind of hard to do that with just me and him. And so I was like, okay, Jewell, I'm starting to need you here to keep Sunny busy, because we decided we're gonna have Sunny here with us during the birth. And then eventually around like 11 o'clock, I texted Justine, or Justine came.
Because our midwife, she lives about 45 minutes outside of town, 35 minutes outside of town. And so we wanted to make where she could possibly get snowed in and not be able to get to us. And so she was very, our daughter was born in December, so, chance of snow at that time of year. And so we were being very, I think, conservative with
hey, can you...
the timing.
Yeah. And
Justine.
My mom and sister also were coming at that time because I wanted them to be here.
My sister.
And Jewell's sister, who's a doula.
And has had home birth as well and is a prenatal yoga teacher, like very qualified to offer support for this natural birthing process.
So I had them all as my team. Like, I really thought out my team because the people that you have around you during your labor also is very important, because we knew, like, if Sonny got maybe a little bit scared or something, we wanted Jewell to be able to be with him, because that's like his safe person. And
if I'm with him, then she still needs a safe person. She still needs someone there to rub her back, to get her iced, a cold towel, whatever she needs, because she needs to be focusing on delivering this baby into the world, right? Not on getting ice chips.
Yeah. So I had my sisters here and my mom, and then it was like so fun. We were like laughing, hanging out in my room while I'm like going through labor, which is just like, you don't hear those words together, fun and labor and contractions, like, but it was. We were laughing. It was all good vibes. When my midwife got here, she checked me and she was like, oh, okay, you're still like laughing. I don't know about this. I don't think you're ready yet. And so that did like alter how I let that like change how I was feeling. Like, then I was like, oh, because I'm like excited, like.
So we called her just before midnight. She had to drive 45 minutes out of town, and she was like, oh yeah, you're not about to have this baby
yeah
yet.
Like you're.
And she maybe she said it in a very human way. She didn't sugarcoat it. She didn't, oh yeah, no, it's no worries, like, this is okay, you're not ready yet, I'll come back in a few hours. It was like, yeah, you're not ready still.
And I was like,
I don't know, should I go back home or to the birthing? Like, it was just very kind of blunt, and
so,
which maybe we made more out of it than there was, because it's emotional time for us as well.
Yeah. So then she left, and she's like, I want you to get some rest if you can. And so I'm like, okay. And we all like tried to rest. I laid down with Sonny. I think everyone else fell asleep.
No, I laid with Sonny.
No, I was in bed with Sonny, and then like right away, and everyone else like fell asleep, and right away I got up because I'm like, I cannot lay down.
You had him come sleep with me, didn't you?
Yeah, and then so they were like resting, and I was just like laboring through the contractions. At that point, I was just like using the yoga ball. Speaking of Sonny.
Okay. And we're back.
We're back.
If you couldn't tell,
we had an interruption.
We're coming back a few days later, obviously.
After bedtime?
Yes, after hours. We got our new microphones in the mail, so hopefully this audio is golden. I got a haircut, thank goodness. Thank you. Shout out to Brandon Peanut. Need a barber, hit me up. We're going to get right back into it here. Gracie was taught, we were kind of going through her home birth, what that process looked like. I got to sleep that night. She did not. And I'm going to let you kind of take it away from there.
So, our midwife had just left. I kept laboring through the contractions. Then I think I texted her when I was like, okay, it's happening. They're closer together. And then maybe I was like kind of starting to get a little bit loud. I don't know. I feel like I woke Demi up. For you?
No.
I don't even remember.
You came into the room and you're like, I'm telling Justine to come back. And I was like, oh, it's happening? And you're like, yeah. And so I went out to the living room. I grabbed my sister. I grabbed her sister. I'm like, hey, get up, y'all. Time for you to get to work.
Yeah, and then Justine got here super quick. Jewell warmed up the bathtub because we did a
water birth.
yeah, so we did like the blow up pool or whatever. That was fun experience.
Mm-hmm.
We had the water coming in from the laundry room.
No. I got it hooked up to our bathroom shower. We were gonna do the laundry room, but it was a hose down the hallway, and it was just like, let's try the shower.
And we're just like in the early morning at this point.
3, 4 a.m.
And then it was like me and Jewell kind of just were together for a bit. He was helping me, and I got in the tub. It felt really good with the contractions. Like, I was excited to use that because compared to my first birth, being in the water helps contractions so much. Like, it really does. Almost practically take them away. But the water was also like scalding.
I got it too hot. I got it too hot, yeah.
So I was like pouring sweat.
We were like putting cold water into the tub, like putting ice cubes into it
ice
later on.
Chips and
well, we didn't try and cool the tub off.
No,
because we didn't want it to get yeah. So my sister and her sister were on like a rotation of like cold rags, bags of ice, just like back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, I felt like a boxer, like in the ring. Like I was like, bring me the towel. Alright, water, ice. It was fun. And then right towards the end, when I got into the pushing stage, I started getting louder, and that was like right around 5 a.m.-ish, 5, 6 a.m. And then it woke Sonny up, and he came in, and was a little bit scared when he saw me like pushing.
Well, not initially. Initially, he was okay.
Oh.
Because it was her contractions were a few minutes apart at this point, and when he came in, I was like, "Hey, son, like your mom's about to have your baby sister." So I was like kind of coaching him through it, and while she was in between contractions, and he watched her go through one that was kind of must have been a mild one because you weren't too loud, and then he was in there, he was a part of it. We were letting him see what was happening, and then she had a pretty intense contraction, and he started punching me in the face and he was just like, no, and I was like, that's my cue. And so, but this goes back, right, when she talked about like getting her birth team prepped, like we had a team ready, we all knew what our responsibility was, and I knew at this point it was my responsibility to take care of him, to be his point of stability, because
that was super important to us as obviously very intentional parents.
Yeah.
Basically, like he was
like just because we're bringing a new life isn't mean we're going to disregard you for a little bit because this is going to be a short process. It's like, no, this is a part of your life. Like, not only this new life coming into our family, you having a little sister, but like you experiencing your parents delivering a child, your mother delivering a child, your dad being there. I didn't deliver the child, but that's a part of his life now, right? And so
so cool that he got
to be there. But what's really interesting, I've heard, but like walk us through those last few minutes, because it was a very short amount of time from when I took him out to the baby being born.
In my head, it feels like so long, which like I feel like once you went out, in my brain, it's like it was like 20 minutes at least, but
it's probably about 4 to 7 minutes.
So that's when I started feeling like I just like couldn't do it, because I remember like I was like pushing, and I had been pushing for like a kind of a long time. Like 20 minutes is kind of a long time for a second labor, according to my midwife. And I was kind of like surprised that I hadn't pushed her out already, because with my first labor with Sonny, I pushed him out like really quick, like 3 pushes, but he was also super small.
Whole pound smaller.
It was like taking me a while. And then I was really like looking to my midwife to like coach me. But midwives, they're so cool because they're just like, they want you to like do it, you know? They know like that's what women are made for. Like they're like, just leave it up to you kind of. And so I was like, can you like tell me what to do? She's like, well, you can like change positions if you want. So then I did, and that helped a lot. And then I remember, I want to share this too. Like, I was holding my sister's hand, and like my sister, my sister-in-law, the midwife, they were just like basically taking turns, all like saying encouraging words to me. To me, it was like affirmations, and it was just so cool. Like every time, like they were like taking turns. It was just like really supportive sisterhood. And then I pushed her head out, and they were like, "Oh my god!" They're like, "Okay, like you got the head out. That's great." And at that point, I was like, "Okay, like can you just pull her out from here?" And that's when I like really didn't think I could keep doing it. And I kind of like rose up like to almost like run away from the contraction, and they're like, you can't do that. Like once her head's out, you have to stay in the water. And I don't even understand why. Like
because once if they're going from canal to water, they're still submerged, like because they're in amniotic fluid, so they're in water. Once they hit the air is when that breath comes. So if they get that breath and then go back in the water.
So they're like, stay down. You have to stay down. And I was like, oh, like can't you just pull her out? And they all like laughed at that, and they're like, no, you got this. Like you have to do it. And so then I did. I think like after like 2 more pushes after that, got her out, and I caught my baby girl. It was so amazing. And she like, then Jewell heard her cry, I guess, from the other room.
Yeah. So in my perspective, right, I'm going from, I'm holding my wife's hand. She's telling me I need you here, so I'm down at the tub with her, and then obviously Sonny wakes up, and so I get him to getting punched in the face. Like me and him wrestle. He's pretty like he gets aggressive with me at times, but like he's never hit me like that before. Like just straight to the face, just boom, boom, boom. And I was like, and I mentioned this in the last episode, but during this time, it's there's so much emotion going on, and it's so temporary, and I feel like we did a really good job preparing ourselves to be stable during this. Um, there's times I'm not this stable. There is, but during I really prepared myself, and so when I was getting punched, there wasn't even like a reaction that came up. It was just like it was just pure understanding. Like, hey son, like I'm here for you. I get this is probably very scary right now. So I took him out and I sat there with him and we practiced breathing in and out, and I held him, comforted him. And like I said, it was maximum 7 minutes after we walked out of the room. We're sitting there breathing, and then we just hear this little squeal, and I was like, Sonny, do you hear that? So, yeah, what's that? Well, that's your baby sister. And so we go in there, and
yeah, we have pictures, and like his face is just.
I want to make a really important point here. On social media, there is like techniques, patterns, guides for introducing your children, your older child to the new baby. There's all this stuff. Get a gift for them. Don't let mom hold the baby. All these different things. Get them get your new child a stuffed, whatever. There's all these different things. We didn't do any of that. Didn't plan any of that. We talked to our son the whole pregnancy.
Read him a lot of books about like, being what will change.
And so, and now 5 months later, he loves his sister. Not like he's not like, oh, I love my sister. He doesn't say that because we don't use love as just like, oh, like there's this emotion, there's this feeling. It's like when I say he loves his sister, I mean like he shows it with kindness. He's so kind. He cares for her, and you can like, tell through his actions.
Run across the house to go get a little toy for her if she like is starting to.
When she starts crying, like when tummy time, he'll be like, Dad, come pick me up. Like, it's like urgent, DEFCON 5, whatever it is. Like, ASAP.
Or he's like over there like, it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
mommy's coming.
Mommy's coming. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so I just want to make a point of that because
very
I
sweet.
know there can be like this fear of having your second child. Like, we got to get this one moment right. Like, no, you need to prepare your child for one. You need to educate them. And I don't mean take them on a course. Get them a couple books. Like, we have a couple books which I'll drop in the comments. Um, Babies Don't Eat Pizza. Like,
That's the
there's just
best
a few
one.
of them that we read over and over and over. We talked to him, we explained things, and we didn't stop doing those things after she was born. We continued on with that, and they have a wonderful relationship 5 months in. Like, is there jealousy? Yes. Is there emotions? Absolutely. That all exists. Would any of that went away if we gave him a gift and didn't have mom? No. That's not going to change those things. Those things are just an inherent part of the process of having a younger sibling, especially at that age when you don't have as much context. So,
But then, just to backtrack about the birth,
mm-hmm.
after Nia was born, it was also super, totally, completely different experience than the hospital. Like, we emphasized a lot on this episode and the last one, like breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
My midwife was so helpful right away. Nia was skin to skin. We just like laid in bed for that whole next day, basically, getting good latch, and they left my placenta like connected to her for a really long time. It was just like such a different experience.
She was in
so
bed.
calm. I was in bed. I was being taken care of by my family, and yeah.
Yeah, like weighing her,
I
measuring
got to
her,
sleep.
that all came hours after the fact. It was
Yeah.
hours before they're like, okay, we need to get her weight. How tall is she? Let's check. Like, hours. It was skin to skin. It was breastfeeding. It was what do you need, mom? Like, actual support for these two lives that just had this life changing experience.
Yeah, versus in the hospital, they're like,
All right,
all
we
right,
got to
chop,
get the
chop,
test.
chop,
All right, it's
and on to the
8:47. We got to,
next.
yeah, because they have to clear the room. It's not to blame the employees for doing their job because they do it, and I'm grateful that we had people there to guide us through that who had some experience. But the difference between them is it's dramatic. It really is, and I think I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of went.
On tangent. But
Sokotoa.
okay. So yeah, then
and we could even go. There's so much more like about the breastfeeding journey this time around was so different because it wasn't just like a latch and oh we're golden. Like it was still a process. Hard. Yeah, and I'm sure your fears had a lot to do with that. But hey, she walked through it. She took it day by day, got a ton of support, educated herself like crazy, and baby latches just like that.
Yep, she's fully breastfed. She's healthy.
Very happy.
And this is her home.
This is her home. We are her family. So I think unless there's anything else you want to really get into, there's more that we can go into. Obviously, if you have any specific questions, reach out to us on Instagram, Jewell on Purpose, Raising with Gracie, or you can drop a comment down below. Let us know if there's any kind of episodes you guys want to hear from us, right? We're just winging it. We're on episode 3 right now. We're just at this point staying consistent, talking about the things that kind of are foundations of parenting. But if there's something that you guys are like, I want to know more about the breastfeeding journey, I'm sure Gracie wouldn't mind making a separate video about that. Like, I want to know more about
like Sunny handling like the transition with 2 kids.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's so much more, and I really don't want this to come across as like, yeah, it was so easy, we didn't have any problems. Like, no, that's not at all. what that looked like for us. It was very challenging. It was very difficult. I took a whole,
Transition.
just all of it, all of it. The process of bringing a new life into the world. It's not. It's we were prepared, but it doesn't mean that it was just super easy
Yeah.
either. Because I took a whole 2 weeks off of work and then went back to my crazy schedule, which changes. I have two schedules that rotate every week, and I work 12-hour days at times, back to back. So it's just like it
Yeah.
wasn't easy. And I don't want to make it seem that way. But obviously, we're just bringing up the highlight reel right now. But like I said, if there's anything you guys want us to go into, please let us know. Leave a like if you made it all the way to the end. Send me a message on Instagram with the word Zamboni. Send me a message on Instagram with the word Zamboni, and I will get you a $5 Starbucks gift card. First 2 people only. 2 people only, because then someone's going to tell their friend. But yeah, if you make it, DM me the word Zamboni, Zamboni, and I will get you a $5 Starbucks gift card. And now I have to add some fluff at the end of this in case someone skips to the end and listens to this part. So you say something, and then we'll end the video.
Something.
There you have it, folks. Episode 3 of Parenting.
With a splash of Jewcie.
I'm your Jew. Alright, we're not going to do that, I guess. Peace out, y'all.
Night-night. Bedtime.
Oh, yeah.